I'm going to make three sets of points, and they all have to do with data. Mike makes the argument that Putin alone, or just Putin and a few Russian leaders, are interested in Ukraine and the whole subject of NATO. This is what one of Mike's predecessors, Bill Burns, said in 2008 in a memo to Condi Rice. Ukrainian entry into NATO is the brightest of all red lines for the Russians, not just Putin. In more than 2.5 years of conversations with knuckle draggers in the dark recesses of the Kremlin and Putin's sharpest liberal critics, I have never met anyone who thinks that Ukraine in NATO is acceptable. Second, to go to Mike again, let me go to Rodin this time. He made the argument that that Putin, in his famous July 12, 2021 essay, made it clear that what he was interested in doing was conquering Ukraine and absorbing it into a greater Russia. This is what he actually wrote. He said, this is in the July 12, 2021 article, and what Ukraine will be, it is up to its citizens to decide. He also said, you want to establish a state of your own, and he's talking to the Ukrainians here, you are welcome. In the February 24th speech where he announced that he was invading Ukraine, he said, accept these new geopolitical realities. He said, we, Russia, accepts the new geopolitical realities after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. He said regarding Ukraine, we respect and will respect their sovereignty. There is no evidence in that talk, on February 24th or in his speech that he was interested in conquering Ukraine and integrating it into Russia. And then finally, with regard to Rodin's argument that NATO was a dead issue in 2021, at the June 14th, 2021 NATO summit in Brussels, we issued a communique that said, we reiterate the decision made at the 2008 Bucharest summit that Ukraine will become a member of the alliance. We reaffirm all the elements of that decision. That argument was repeated in November 10th, 2021.
Thank you, John. Okay, Radek, your opportunity for a rebuttal also.
Professor, you can't pretend that somehow mystically Ukraine was or was about to become a NATO member, because we denied them the membership action plan. More than that, the Chancellor of Germany, in trying to prevent the war, spoke to Putin and in private and in public said, I give you my word that as Chancellor of Germany, Ukraine will not join NATO on my watch. So he was giving Putin a moratorium of at least 5, maybe 10, maybe even more years on Ukraine joining, because, as you know, it requires unanimity. So what you're saying is that Putin had to invade Ukraine on the hypothetical possibility that in a decade or so, Ukraine will apply again and might be accepted. That's unserious. You don't start war on that basis. You say that Putin had to react to the coup in Kiev. That's in 2014. Look, again, I was there. I was one of the 3 ministers of the European Union who brought about the agreement between Yanukovych and the Maidan. In fact, I led that delegation. It wasn't a coup. Yanukovych fled the capital because he lost the support of his own party. And this is just a Russian lie that you shouldn't be repeating. And Putin respecting Ukraine's sovereignty? Could he possibly be saying it in the same faith as, remember the little green man in Crimea, these are not my soldiers? this is a man we just cannot trust. And is Russia driven by security in Ukraine? I don't think so. I mean, would Ukraine attack Russia? I mean, Ukraine is not a member of NATO. If it were, the 82nd Airborne would now be in Ukraine and not in Poland, because we would have to be defending a member. In fact, what happened that US troops withdrew from Ukraine in anticipation of the Russian attack. So this is not about NATO. This is about Putin in charge of a kleptocracy, being afraid of Ukraine becoming a successful democracy. Ukraine was beginning to succeed. And Putin is right that 1,000 years ago they were the same people, the languages are similar, there is a certain affinity. And what Putin feared was that if Ukraine succeeds, the people of Russia will want the same. And that cannot be allowed, can it?
Thank you.